What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell Philly show here on the RTB Philly Sports Network. Chris, Jason, and John are here, and hey, man, looks like we have a good old baseball team back as of this weekend. What a week this was, guys! It was the tale of two different teams. If you look at this past weekend against the Royals, the Phillies slugged their way to 2 out of 3, collecting 45 hits. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday combined, 11, 16, and 18.
First time since 07. That many hits
big,
in the series, yeah.
Really good stuff. The Phillies won 11-3 today. They won 11-2 on Saturday, but they dropped the opener 7-4 on Friday while collecting 11 hits. That was just another a case of poor managing, which we'll talk about. And I correlate the poor managing with one decision, and that's continuing to allow Taijuan Walker to even show up to a stadium. And we'll get into that because it happened Friday. But you look at this, like I said in the beginning, it was a tale of two different teams this week. It was like this big transformation from the Brave series over to the Royals. It was night and day, 6 to midnight. Against the Braves, the Phillies struck out 32 times, scored 6 runs, had no home runs in 3 games. Kansas City, they struck out 24 times, but they scored 26 runs with 3 home runs in the series. They had 2 guys have 4-hit games. Saturday night, Bryson Stott had 4 hits, and then out of nowhere on Sunday, it was the Garrett Stubbs show. Collecting 4 hits, was I think a home run away from the Phillies' second cycle of the season. Jay, man,
they hit him at the end. They hit him at the end.
So Jay, this, like I said, like night and day from the Braves series to the Royal series. I wish the Royal series is what happened against the Braves. That would have been ideal. However, it was really great to see this weekend against the Royals away from home. The Phillies look like the Phillies of April and May.
Well, yeah, when you look at it, they're a 75 win or 72 win baseball team, So it's, when they're losing during this stretch, they're playing good teams now and they're not winning. So now you finally get that off your back. But I agree.
Besides the Dodgers, they're beating the Dodgers. Though.
Well, yeah, but I'm still worried because against the Braves, we're 3-6 this season.
Yeah.
So you still have 4 left against them. I'm still worried about that because I'm
against the Mets too because they have how many games?
Yeah, so it's,
and they're playing hot. They're playing good baseball too.
A lot of divisional games left. You're right. It's nice to see the bats going. It really sucks because when you look at this week and you see all these hits, you're expecting. You're thinking box scores. You're thinking Schwarber. You're thinking Harper. You're thinking Bohm all contributed, and there was none of that. So it's nice to see everyone else do it, but you lose 2 out of 3 to the Braves. You could have won any of them, but it still seems like they have their number. And I'm tired of, it's nice to say that we get you in the playoffs, but at some point that's going to stop. So
because
you're getting a little worried with the claps at this point.
Let me go off that one thing too about you, like, oh, they, we beat them in the playoffs. Like it's the dumbest thing ever because don't you have to win games to make the playoffs? So why?
It's fun to say. But
at
this
point,
why
is it you have to win games to make like at a time right now where it's crucial, where it seems like every single week the Braves are gaining a game. They're gaining a game every single. Hopefully that like this, these last 2 games it changes everything. We don't have to say that anymore. But if the Braves are 5 weeks left in the season, they're down. Braves are gaining a game every single week on the Phillies because it's not even because the Braves are playing so well. It's because the Phillies are playing so poor. The Phillies are playing good baseball. They still have that 10-game lead in this division because that's a bad Braves team. They're not that great of a baseball team anymore with all the injuries they have. And it's just the Phillies have been playing very poor baseball all around. And like you said, it wasn't what's great about what just happened this weekend. It was the guys at the bottom of the lineup doing everything. They did. What made the Phillies so good last year, late in the season, with all the injuries going on or Harper not playing, those guys, Brand, Marsh, Stott, all the guys at the bottom of the lineup last season were playing extremely well, and they weren't playing well. Along with the stars aren't playing well as well. So nobody was carrying the team. That's why they've been so bad.
John, you stole my background, bro. You can't be in my house, dude. What are we doing here?
They're in separate rooms.
I'm sorry to sit here. Yeah, I have 2 living rooms, both matching the same, dude. What
Absolutely.
One's upstairs, one's downstairs.
This guy.
So
I want to pose you both a question real quick while you do that, though. And because with this, like you're saying, John, you don't want to keep, and I mentioned it, you don't want to keep banking on the playoff thing. Because I do believe that this year, out of all the years, when you looked at the years past where the Phillies make it in, you're like, wild card, you're like, okay, you got in, you deserve it. If they drop back to a wild card this year, I think that has to play with their psyche because you were so great. I think if they hit the wild card
then
now,
they'll
I
have
think
something to prove.
But I think they crap out. If they lose out and lose this division, I don't think they go anywhere in the playoffs.
I agree.
think it's a massive
I don't
stroke.
think they make the playoffs if they lose the division. Because if they blew that 6-game lead,
no, it's still
the Mets are right up. Mets are right up there too, and the Mets.
But it's Diamondbacks. You still are outside of those guys. You're still one of the 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego's got 74 wins, so they're creeping.
75 or 76 wins for the Diamondbacks, and then Braves.
Arizona's got 75.
So if you blow to the Braves and those 2 teams keep winning, you're looking at the 7th spot in the thing, and then you have the Mets who are 2 games behind the Braves too. So and then you have all these games against the Mets too. So if you blow this division, I don't see them making the playoffs. I think you have to win a division at this point because the NL West is so damn good right now.
So you look at this, and I agree with you. I think if the meltdown continues, that was only their 3rd series win coming out of the All-Star break. So that's tough. I mean, they obviously the one against the Royals, against the Nationals, and the Dodgers. They're 6-4 in their last 10.
As bad as the Phillies right now.
The Braves lost today against the Nats, so it gets back to 6 games. But more importantly, it does seem like the Phillies have built some momentum of that 13-game stretch against teams that currently hold a spot in the postseason. I feel like maybe this is them slowly. I think they're slow, like more, slowly but surely, slower than we would expect, or obviously what we would want, getting back in the swing of things. I just don't know where the problem happened. That's the thing. When you look at April and May, over 40 wins in 2 months, and since the last day of May, they've only got 36 wins since then. Or right around that number, maybe a little bit less. I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done to make this team more consistent. I know Jason and I kind of subscribe to the idea of, look, if these guys, they're getting paid what they're getting paid, they got to hit their way out of it. They got to swing their way out of it and figure it out. Do I think Kevin Long is a problem? Absolutely. I think he's a terrible hitting coach.
A year ago, we thought was a good hitting coach.
Well, I mean, that happens when, guys have really good seasons, but you go into the next season and it really does look like, the bottoms come out with a lot of that lineup.
I think
you got Alec Boehm, who's really been struggling lately over his last 24 games. Harper's hitting 225 maybe. You're right. And I want to be optimistic like Jay can be in terms of, well, look, next week, September, at some point, they got to realize it's no longer April. It's no longer May. It's no longer June. This is the dog days of baseball now. We're in that. We're in the middle of where it really starts to ramp up, where, like you said, the teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres start really going to, every game is going to mean something to them. Are the Phillies going to play that way? Do they have Jay, I'll ask you, do the Phillies have those types of players in that room where they're going to be like, look, it's September. We have to stop bleeping around right now. Other teams aren't playing around like there's
no doubt.
Yeah.
You have Bryce Harper, you have Trey Turner, you have Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber's a champion. Trey Turner's a champion. They know what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
So I think they do have the talent in the room. Of course, you have Bryce Harper as the your head guy. So they have it there. The question is, can they do it? And I think they will. You have to. And this week's going to tell a lot.
Right. You have to.
You have to break out. You don't want to keep struggling. But I do think there was, right before the All-Star break, I think we all said it in that Oakland series. I think you look at that, they might have taken their foot off the gas. They might have gotten lax a little bit. And baseball is, we've all played it. It's routine. You're in there, you're doing it. You're feeling it. If you start to get lax and don't worry about it, and then we got it and we're better than you, you're going to hit that funk. And I think that's kind of what happened. They may have got a little bit too big for their britches, where in the past we're making NLCSs without this great team. This year we're that great team. But I have no doubt it's going to turn around come September. I know what these guys are. I have years of track record with all of them. I don't think Bryce or Trey magically dropped off. And I believe in Bohm. I've always have. So I think they're going to turn around. And I think
still
this could be that series.
He's still been good. He's not being the 300 hitter that he usually is, but he's still producing when guys are on base in front of him. That's like,
and I might be asking for too much, but I mean, I really shouldn't based on the payroll and the talent of this team. I want this September to be last year's August, where that team was just literally almost top to bottom, were smashing the baseball every single night. Kind of like what we saw this weekend in Kansas City. I want Trey Turner. I want Bryce Harper. Schwarber's kind of he's been pretty consistent all season. I want those two guys and the Alec Bohms, even like a Bryson Stott. Give me one of those guys. Give me Stott or Marsh in September to just completely light things up, because those are the kind of guys you're really going to need riding high going into October.
I want Schwarber. We haven't had that month this year that
You're
we
right.
had
That's a good point.
in the past. I would love for him, and because like we saw last year, we got really hot into the playoffs. We've been so cold. This is where you need to start stepping up. Even if it's not everybody, you need to start prepping. But I think it's all starts with that leadoff guy. You need him to have a big month. He's going to be the tone setter this month. He needs to be coming down this stretch. I think a lot of it needs to go on, which is, I never thought I'd say it, but I think a lot of it needs to go on Schwarber's shoulders going down this month. He needs to have that big month that he hasn't had, and he's had in the last couple seasons with us.
I think more the reason why Schwarber's just been more consistent over the year, because his numbers are kind of similar. Maybe he has a couple less, maybe 4 or 5 less home runs than normal, but he's been so consistent. That's why we don't really notice that he hasn't had that month yet, because he was so bad, in April. He was so bad in May too, the previous 2 seasons, that when June came around, I mean, it's like, oh my God, look at this guy go. But he was good in May, he was good in April, he was good in June, he was good in July, he's been good in August. I think that's why we're not noticing him having that big month, because he's been so consistent all year long. But you're right. Somebody has to step up. Somebody on this team has to go insane. And the way Stott played last 2 days, I don't want to see him get an off day. If he starts, if he goes 0 for 4, with 4 strikeouts and he looks horrible played, okay, give him his off day when a lefty comes up or whatever the thing is. But he just went 4 yesterday. He had a walk today. He had a hit today. It seems like maybe he's getting the thing of it. Don't try to turn it off. It's like, why JT just got going? Why did you give him an off day today? I know
he's off most Sundays though.
But that's
he does get a
like
Sunday off.
He just and Stott played great today, so I can't really he played great. But it's like JT just got going. Why give him the off day? Let's see if he can carry it. Carry it. You're off tomorrow. Are they off tomorrow?
No,
they're not. Shit, they have a 4-game series.
They have a 4-game against.
They have 4-game against Ray. That's why they're not off. Never mind. But I mean, it's like,
I think that's why, because I'm assuming JT is going to start the next 7 in a row.
Next Sunday, yeah, Sunday is
Maybe.
night game. It's the Sunday night game, ESPN. So you figure Phillies are going to have a full lineup for that Sunday night.
Maybe. But yeah, you're right. Let's stop studying. JT, what a day by JT yesterday. And I mean, it feels like he had a home run. It was his first home run.
And they weren't cheapies, man.
Yes.
He was smashing the baseball.
Going, but it's like, let's give him an off. And hopefully it doesn't affect him. And hopefully he can keep going.
Yeah. That's a shot in the arm. If JT can get that bat rolling again, that's a shot in the arm to that batting order.
Because he's finding something with power. When he came out, he was struggling, and then he started getting some singles here and there, but he wasn't hit for power. Now he had a huge day yesterday. Hopefully he can keep that going.
So a couple other guys that had a decent day. Nick Castellanos, obviously, another home run. He's been looking good. Harper hit his 30th double of the season. So hopefully, again, we say this a lot, but Harper.
I'm about to
really,
just start taking Harper to get a home run every day.
Yeah, I really do think
every day. Like, at some point he's going to hit one.
I have a feeling we're on the verge of a heater here with Bryce, and maybe it's this week, because this would be the week where I would like to see, MVP type Bryce Harper.
Because if Harper gets going, Boom's going to get going because that means
Yeah.
Harper's hot. You know,
I mean,
because right now, why Boom struggling? He's getting all the best pitches because Harper's struggling. It's Boom who's getting. That's why he's struggling.
This is one of the biggest homestands, maybe even weeks for the rest of the season here coming up. It's a crucial homestand to me. I think it's going to set the tone for the rest of the regular season. I really do believe that. They're going to host the Astros for the first 3-game set of this week, and then the Braves are coming to town for a 4-game slate here. That's, to me, I mean, Jay,
This has
to set the tone for the entire rest of the season.
If you don't have a good week this week, that means there's a really strong possibility you're going into September only 3 games up in the division. If you don't, it may even be more less than that. You have to win. You have to win each series this week, and each series going to the playoffs, you have to start winning each series.
The problem is too. Houston's been playing very hot as well.
Yes,
Houston's a very good baseball team since kind of the Tucker talk early in the season. They've really turned it around, seemingly without Tucker too, because he hasn't played at all during the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Their pitching has been a tremendous,
amazing.
They're coming into the Phillies. I mean, I don't know if they've played yet today.
Arrighetti Spaghetti, whatever his name is.
I love as Spencer Spaghetti. Arrighetti. I use him a lot in MLB The Show.
So just an FYI on this. I mean, right now it's the top of the first, but if the Astros lose today, they're going to get swept in Baltimore. So you might have a really pissed off Astros coming into Philly.
Yeah, still. Even if they're not hot, I remember the Yankees came in at a terrible. Everybody thought we could take advantage of them, but you have to.
Work.
It has to be the top of the lineup now. Like you can't keep beating these great teams with your bottom of your lineup. At some point, Harper, Turner, and Schwarber really have to turn it around and get going for this team to really start doing what you need to do and close it out. Because you have, like you said, it's September. You have the lead. You don't want to let it go. And this is a huge week, a 7-game week, right before September, and 4 against the Braves when you're only 6 up. You got lucky. You did catch a break today with Washington snagging one. I think you're right. I think if you go 2-5, I think your season's done. I really think it's because I think you have to win.
Wow,
for them to make the playoffs and do something, I think you have to win this division. And if you go 2-5 this week, which is very possible with how poorly they've played, I think your season's over, really, honestly.
Ooh.
I agree. I 100% agree with you.
I don't even know if I can go that far right now. I mean, that's deep for me to even go.
Well, when you look at it,
if you drop 3 or 4 to the Braves, that's you. I mean, you better
I think you're
raise
done
hell.
Because the Braves are coming through. You still have Milwaukee. You still have a ton against the Mets. You got Tampa Bay. You have a very tough schedule, and you've been losing the teams that aren't great. So if you struggle this week, I get everybody wants to be happy, and I do. I love the fact that the bottom of the lineup took care of Kansas City. But this is the biggest week of the season. And I do think if it's a struggling week, I think you could see. I don't think they figure it out because if they're not going to turn it on this week when you really need it, and this is your season, I don't know when you do it.
When you talk about 2 possible playoff teams this week, you got to get through this week, go 5-2, 4-3 at the worst. Then you have Toronto and Miami. You should win those series, no problem. Tampa Bay, you should win that series, and then you have the Mets for 2 series, and then you have the Brewers in between those 2 series, and those games are the most important games of the entire year because you got a Brewers team who's just they're like the Diamondbacks, like we were talking before, man. They just doesn't matter who they put in that lineup. Somehow they produce, and they're trying to prove that they want another contract in a year or so. And they have a lot of young kids on that team now. I mean, they're still playing good ball, and they lost their best player for the rest of the year. I mean, and they lost their best starting pitcher at the beginning of the year, and they're still going to win that division. It looks like.
Yeah. So what's even crazy, man, is what we've got coming up. I haven't seen who the Astros are named for the start of the series, but the Phillies are setting it up really perfectly. They're running out Wheeler, Nola, and Sanchez. This also means Wheeler and Nola will start against the Braves,
we got Blanco,
which is huge. And
Verlander and Arrighetti against those in that order.
That's the order. Okay, I didn't
Blanco,
see who
Verlander, Arrighetti, whatever the hell, Spaghetti.
Okay,
I'll call him Spaghetti. Spaghetti arm.
Well, I think it sets up great for the Phillies. Like I said, against the Braves, 2 of those 4 games, you will get Wheeler and Nola. Wheeler is 0-1, but he has a 1.5 ERA and 13 strikeouts in 2 appearances against Atlanta.
And Wheeler
While
is
Nola,
tremendous.
who seems to pitch every time against the Braves, his last 2 starts, he's 1-0 with a 3.97 ERA and 13 strikeouts. Look, and we've all just said it. Jay said it best. This series coming up, I don't want to gloss over Houston, but to get to Atlanta, the result of that series, I do believe will drastically change and shake up that division. And that is, I believe, sometimes when you're in like your week 8 or 9 of an NFL season and the Eagles are like playing the Cowboys, and you look at that, like this could be a turning point of the season, something like that, like a really big NFC East or NFC matchup against a really good team. This is it now. This is, like week 15 of the NFL season.
My issue, if you blow it to an Acuna-less, Strider-less Atlanta team,
Austin Riley-less.
Austin Riley and Albies are out as well.
You don't just like that's my point. Is you're letting these guys back in, and you're essentially lose like an MVP, a Cy Young, 2 MVPs and a Cy Young. Like you essentially lose those guys, and you're still letting. And it sucks because it does give the credit to the organization of Atlanta, but it also shows you how terrible this Philadelphia team has been built and how bad it is and how it's not just constructed because you have to throw out guys like T1 Walker and you're stuck with guys like Marsh that you can't do things. It just shows the inept where all offseason, we all said we need to make some minor moves. There has to be some minor additions outside of Witt. We all saw it. And Dombrowski and everybody came out and said, we believe in this team. And it looked great in April and May, but that's why we always said, like, you need a great April and May. You can't just be bad. And we're seeing the advantage of it now, but you're also seeing this team just doesn't, I guess, understand organizational depth. And it's just tough when you're seeing all of these bad things. And you see a team like Atlanta still hanging around when you lose MVPs and Cy Youngs. If Bryce Harper and Wheeler go out, I have no faith in this team to be in contention.
A question too, real quick. I know you brought up the organizational depth, and this is more of like a long-term thing here. Do you believe that's why the Phillies didn't want to give up so much at the trade deadline this year because they believe they're going to need organizational depth in the future?
I don't think there was a move to be had this offseason.
I think you're probably right. There might not have been moved to be had.
There wasn't that big bat. I think if the move is out there,
they came out, they wanted Crochet, but the asking price was too much. They did want him.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Is that move? I think because they've shown in the past they've never had problems trading that talent. And I think when you look at it, most times the talent you trade out is not going to be what you get back.
Right.
So I'm okay with it. But I just think in terms of the smaller moves, the pieces, when you look back, and I remember the 08, you bring in the Joe Blanton, you bring in the Matt Stairs, those types of moves that are not, big game changers, but are decent moves and are very big moves. Joe Manton had a big year for us that year, and Stairs did. Yeah, but that's not that to me is not a big. You're getting a great bench bat when you get Matt Stairs. You know what I'm getting off that bench. And Joe Blanton, you brought in a 4-pitcher. When you see a guy like Walker who's throwing out there every 5th day now, you can't bring in somebody else for that. It's not Topper. It's management.
It's both.
That's upper management.
Listen, no, stop. It's not upper management because Topper can say, "I'm not pitching this guy. I'm pitching Allen. I'm pitching Tyler Phillips. I'm."
Not if your owner says, "I'm paying you $20 million a year." You put him out there, whether I. But that's upper management. You can't.
If you want to be a good manager, you need to make those decisions too. He needs to step up and say that.
It's called a job still. Regardless of manager, it's called your job. And
but you do. I don't care about your job though, Jay. You have a responsibility to your players,
your team, the fans. Okay, he's been.
I don't as a manager though. But at the end of the day, it comes down from the organization. If you pay a dude $20 million, I can't put it on Topper. If they're saying, "Here's what you have to throw out there," that's what he has. He can't do anything about it. The organization can take him out there and put another 5th guy out there. They're choosing not to. That's upper management. Whatever we want to say, that's the top. That's Dombrowski and ownership.
Then
that's
you
my
saying
issue.
Topper has said that to them? I don't want to pitch Walker. Is that what you think he said?
Yes, I think when it comes to, I think, and when you come look at playoff time, I think he says, no, you can't do this in the playoffs. I'll let you have it in regular season. You're not pitching him. He's already shown me he did that last year. That's what I truly believe happened.
Part of me actually kind of agrees with Jason a little bit, John, because if you listen to comments that Topper makes when he gets asked about Walker, he usually says, we'll see. We're going to have to play this by ear. I mean, from what happened the other day, I don't even think Walker's going to be making his next start. I think he's not going to be pitching.
Because I wrote this down, and I'm going to say it right now. I will not be watching or attending a game that Taiwan Walker is pitching in. I would when he comes out of the game, I'll ask for a text message to say he came out of the game, and I'll turn it on.
Okay. But I will say though, I think it's quite obvious that this is the swan song for Taiwan. He will not be on this roster.
He throws 86 miles an hour fastball.
Yeah.
You can't do that in the big league.
I know he was on the roster for the last year's playoffs. I don't think he makes the playoff roster. I really don't.
It's time to cut ties.
The problem is though, when you look at it,
playoffs, so who cares? Like, get rid of him.
How can you tell me you have a team? My problem is with Middleton and Dombrowski here, and it has been since the beginning.
I agree
you tell
with
me
you.
You have a championship team. You can put so much on Topper, but when you sit here and say, here's your guys, and you don't really give them anything else, your biggest move in the offseason was to bring in Witt, which I think we all agreed was a great move at the time.
For sure.
It didn't work, but you should have had other moves as well.
Right. And Pache should never have made the roster. That should have been replaced.
Yeah, and then after last season, after you literally told the fans, the players, you told Walker, you're not good enough to pitch in the playoffs for us.
Yeah, man.
You're not good enough to play against Miami Marlins in this BS series. We're not playing you. And then you're saying, oh, hey,
come back.
You're going to pitch all next season.
Right.
And I get it. And I've made this argument. I'm going to pay for my season tickets regardless. I sat through those bad years. But you're telling me as a season ticket holder, that's the best you can do? I call bullshit. Eat the damn money, eat the $72 million, and just kick him out because you've done it before. Agree. That's my issue. And I get Topper. You can't put it on Topper. It's ownership and it's really bothering me. That's the move.
Well, I wish he would just, your boss is wrong sometimes. Like that's like it happens. But I mean, obviously his boss wanted to, badmouth him, recently. So why can't he just say, well, I don't think he has it or something like that? I think
he's a player. I think he's a player's manager. He's not going to throw his players under the bus. I just don't. Charlie didn't. I mean, Charlie did the same thing.
If I'm another player, I don't want Topper doing that either. Like, if I'm a player and I see him, to me, I think if you're saying that, if I'm another player and I see that, I think I have an issue with it. So I'm okay with him not doing it. I'm cool with Topper. That's your job as a manager, is to eat the blame. You do get praise when you win, or it may not even to, but it is your job to eat that, and he's eating it very well from all the fans. Everyone that has it. He's eating it. So I think, and it's his job to be okay and eat it for Walker and ownership, and that's the position. That's what your head coach is supposed to do.
And I also think after that last start on Friday, I can definitely see Toppers saying, well, what else do you want me to do? I'm throwing him out there, even though he's throwing horrible. I'm putting him out there for, and sometimes when he's doing bad, he's still throwing into the sixth inning.
It's amazing. You see him going sixth inning.
That's the thing. So I think Topper might also,
I don't know how to management.
I really think he's saying, look, you want me to start this guy. Keep watching. When I throw him out there, you're going to see what's going on. This is what I have to deal with. So, John, you don't think that's a possibility that maybe Topper is the kind of guy like, look, all right, I'll play, I'm sure, but I'm going to pitch him into the sixth inning when he's already given up 7 runs.
He doesn't think Topper's that smart.
He did it last year. I mean, he did it last year.
So well, I was stunned that he didn't make it to the 4th inning on Friday. I thought he was going to go much more than that. But again, this is a big problem. I think it's the big outside of
Allard and Phillips have been better.
Allard has been better. Phillips looked awful his last few starts.
He's still been better than Walker, though.
Oh, he has not been better than Walker. He's been on par.
He's younger. I would take him, and he's had better starts. When is he has a lot better starts in general this year over Walker. Maybe his last 3 starts were bad, but
we're going into playoff times. I don't want to be throwing off a general and better than Walker, because Walker has a 6.5 ERA. Okay,
that's right.
Let's not give that as the reason to start someone.
Yeah. Look, hey, we had a really good.
Is he coming back? So let's deal with him. It'd be great if we can get him going. Get him starting a little bit.
Well, what was a really big deal was Saturday's return start for Ranger Suarez. 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, and then the just a really good performance out of the bullpen. Sans Jose Ruiz. But before we get out of here, guys, what was your thoughts on the return of Ranger? Would you continue for a while, getting him maybe 5 innings max until that postseason? Is that where you guys are at right now? Because I'll tell you what, if he can
I think
pitch
maybe
5 innings,
maybe his next 2 starts, and then ramp it up a little
okay,
bit. I
and
want him
see
to
how
go
that,
6.
that pitch count's
I
going.
want him.
I mean, I'm
wanna see
okay
him
with
go
just
6
5.
innings, because if it's a situation where he's going 5, like, what if it's a problem in the playoffs? Like, I need to see if he can go 6 innings at the end of the season too. I need to see.
But the other thing is, though, but here's the catch-22. I want him healthy for the playoffs.
I do too.
Yeah,
But
that's
yet
we're
to
in a
be able
really
to
tough
pitch 6
end of the
innings
sword
in
here. Yeah.
playoffs. So I need to know in September if he can pitch 6 innings.
I'm good with just keeping him 5 innings for the rest
Yeah.
of the season. I watched him enough this season. We all know like his history, so we get it. I'd rather just give him the 5, let him rest his arm until playoffs, and then if you have to blow it out in the playoffs, you run him into the dirt in the playoffs, because that's what I want.
Though, this time it wasn't his arm.
Yeah, but you still know the issues with him, his problem
Right.
with not being able to go into games. So you let him go until he can't go but I think you're happy to see it, because I think you need him to win. I think he's very important for us to win a World Series. You need Ranger very big at your 3. So yeah, I agree. You keep him healthy, you give him 4 or 5 innings. With the way the bullpen pitched this week, really was very good. The bullpen pitched very well this week, so you kind of hope that keeps it up. Yeah, but if you have that,
I hate him.
I have that with Ranger going 5. I'm good with it, and then come October in the playoffs, you go 6, 7. But the bullpen's shown they're starting to pick it up, so yeah, you need him healthy. Without Ranger, you can't win. I don't think.
It's always in the game now.
I agree. I don't think you can win without Ranger in the postseason, especially with how he's proven to be just so incredibly dominant in the postseason. So that's something you just really need him to be ready to roll.
I need him to go 6. I need him to get 6 innings. He needs to go. I need to see him in the playoffs.
Well, hey, maybe next year you might be able to just say, well, he's definitely going to go 6.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are, guys. End of the show here. Let's predict what's coming up this week. Like we already said, it's a 7-game week for the Phils, 3 again, and it's all at home. Mega homestand. We've already said in the beginning of the show that this is probably going to set up the rest of the regular season for the Phillies of what we're going to get. 3 against Houston, a massive 4-game set at the bank at the end of the week, which I really do think it's going to be a massive playoff atmosphere next weekend at Citizens Bank Park. What are you guys looking at? 7-game week. What's your record? I'm going to start with John. You're on the far right.
Before today's one, I was going to be really negative, but they won. They played really well today. So they won today. So I'm going to be. I was originally going to say during the game, the beginning of the game, I was like kind of writing things out. I was going to say today, and then they ended up playing really well. And I was going to go 3-4 this week, but now I'm going to go 4-3. And I'm really not going. I'm not going to give them the leeway of I'm going to say they're going to go 5-2, because they need to prove me that they can do this at this point. So I'm going to go 4-3. I think it's possibly a split with the Braves, and I think the way they played this week, I think they'll win the series against the Astros. But right now, as it stands, I think they're going to split with the Braves.
Okay. Jay. 7-0.
That's how many wins we're having this week. I believe in it. I believe in it.
I will kiss you right on the lips.
Listen,
they go 7-0.
But I've been on the guys all season. I was right with Casty when I said I was right with Schwarber. He's batting 250 this season. I just know what I'm talking. Go ahead.
In your heart of hearts in the beginning of the season, did you think Kyle Schwarber would hit 250?
Come on, bro. Come on. It's a good one. I know he's done. I'm
that's so funny.
It's a good one.
But I think this is Schwarber's last season with the Phillies too. I think it limits.
If they don't win a World Series, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
It limits
for sure.
His team
it wouldn't make sense
that he can only really DH, and I think it limits Marchand, because he's better than subs had a great day today, where you can actually DH Bryce and you play or DH Remuto, and one of them plays first base, one of them DHs, stuff like that. You can use the DH as a day to get guys off their feet. It's like that boom, but you want to get boom off his feet, let's DH him for the day or something like that.
We're
Right.
talking about this for 3 years, though.
I know.
If they don't win a World Series, I agree. I think he's the guy that goes because he gets you the most.
There's gonna be a lot of different names on that roster if they don't win a World Series.
Back in his 1 year.
I think
somebody will be willing to pay him $20
million
for one season.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think when I started this show tonight, this stream, I was at 5-2.
Let's go. Now you're 6-1.
No, I think I'm going to stick with 5-2.
Okay, I was excited.
I think they lose one against Houston. They lose one against Atlanta. I feel like next Sunday is the game they lose against Atlanta.
I hope not.
Of course not.
They tend to show for the Sunday night games. Besides that one against the Mets last season or 2 years ago, whenever it was.
So yeah, I really do think it's going to be 5-2. And I've said this before, and again, you guys, everyone, not you guys, but everyone can call me a mark for the guy. But I really do think this week, I think Bryce Harper is going to go on a massive heater.
I'll never call you a mark for Bryce again, by the way. Okay,
Listen, I live with that dude hour by hour.
3 weeks. He's hated Harper the last 3 weeks. He wanted him gone. He wanted to kill him.
To be honest with you,
want to kill him, but he wanted him gone.
As much as I've probably on text have hated Harper, I was the definition of that meme where Wolverine is holding up a picture in bed. And to me, on the other end is just like Harper standing there like, I still love you. It's okay. That's been my life with Bryce over the past few weeks. It's just one of those things, but
he's going to break out of it.
I really do. I think it's going to be like electric. He has to. Yeah, you're right. He has to. He has no choice.
And this is the week to do it. And this is the week he shows up in the biggest of moments. He's really done it for us, and he hasn't done this season. The guys, when the lights have been the brightest, really outside of the end of the stretch of last season, the guy shows up. So I do think you're going to see a big week from Bryce. I think he's going to be the catalyst this week for them to have a big week.
I agree.
Him and Schwarber.
Better. Chris is going to have a heart attack and he's going to cry.
If I don't have
all week.
Yeah, it would be. I'm going to turn off my phone so I don't go in the group chat if there's a bad week again from Chase or from Bryce.
Why are you crying over there? Are you all right? Your Harper stinks.
He has Chase on the mind, by the way, because Chase is actually his favorite player.
You damn right he is. Oh, that's funny.
That's getting clipped.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here for the week. A lot of big things coming for the network. We're actually having a really big team meeting this week because the scheduling is about to get absolutely crazy. We added somebody to the team, being my brother, who's going to help us out with Eagles coverage, which is great. Again, nothing is really going to change in terms of the Phillies coverage that you guys get, mainly because we're doing the same thing with the Phillies, especially when the playoffs come. When the playoffs come, I mean, it's going to be wild. We're going to be here every single after every single game. We'll be here right before like a playoff series starts to go over previews and predictions and things like that. So it's going to be a fun time to talk and cover the Phillies here over the next month. Hopefully the 2 months. So we're really excited. Head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code RINGTHEBELL for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. Our next show will be this week. I think we're going to be joining another show who's going to be coming on to the Ring the Bell Philly Network, hosted by the guy in the middle here, Jason Kent. I think we are going to have a 2024 season preview and prediction show where it's going to be the RTB Eagle show up against or with you're in the group. We talked about it. Scroll back up. You got to scroll.
There's a lot of messages sometimes.
So then with the Cowboys Takeover show, we're going to be talking about the NFC East, but mainly we're going to be talking about the Eagles and the Cowboys. What's the season's going to look like? Jay, it's August 25th. Is CeeDee Lamb going to play week 1?
I hope so. He needs to.
I don't think
he holds all the cards, so we'll find.
That's true.
Listen, the guys who've had out, it has not worked for them well in the past. So,
last time a major player for the Dallas Cowboys held out, they won the Super Bowl and 3 of the next 4. Okay.
Who, Zeke?
Who held out?
He was in
No.
Cabo.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett, that's right. When Emmett held
Emmett
out.
was the last big holdout for the Cowboys, and they won Super Bowls after that. Big
Zeke
dog.
was the best running back in football and held out the entire
Zeke didn't
offseason.
He came in.
He's in
He's
Cabo.
never been the best. He's
He's
came
the
in
best
fat and
running back
over
in
shape, and he's terrible. He's a slob.
He did it.
Maybe-
He was the, in the football
Maybe
team,
number
he was
15 Zeke will be a
balling
lot
all
better. So we'll have that coming up this week. Looking forward to that. That should be exciting. And then we'll be right back here next Sunday. Oh, actually, we might not be. Look, if it's a really big game, I'll be on
it's
here.
Labor Day. It's Labor Day weekend. That's Sunday.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'll
Oh
be
my
on.
God, it's
It
already.
may not be. Yo, it could be a fun show. I'll make it.
It could be really fun, positive or negative here next Sunday night. But all right, guys, thank you so very much for tuning in at RTB Philly on Instagram. But yeah, if you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. We really appreciate the support as always. So for Johnny Mac, Jason Ken, I'm Christy Francesco, and we'll catch you guys here down the road. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here next week. And as always, go Phils.